How's it going, guys? King of the fourth quarter here, and before we get into the actual video, I kind of want to talk to you guys about what's going on. So last video I talked to you guys about how you can be a part of this St. Louis MyLeague team, and like I thought, a bunch of people are trying to get involved. Like, I jumped from 200 followers on Twitter to about 700 right now, so that's about 500 people that want to be involved. So I want to ask you guys, just be patient. Your player may not show up in season 1, 2, or 3, but since the series should go on until the release of 2K17, you just have to be patient with me. 500 people is a crazy number to try to create. I think I posted that video on Monday. It's Wednesday now. I created about 50 people. So some of you guys are already in it. I don't show you in this video, but I'll show you very soon. Some of you guys are already in, and I'm excited. Okay, let's get into the actual video now. Thanks for watching. Good morning, St. Louis, and welcome to the new year. We are finally in the year 2017, and today we'll be talking about our Spirit season so far. As of right now, our Spirits sit at 7-26. And it's bittersweet because, of course, we want our team to be successful. We want our team to win as many games as possible, but also we want to draft for the future. So right now we have the worst record in the NBA, and it looks like we're going to have the highest chance at the #1 pick in the upcoming draft class, which is good because our draft class is pretty loaded. But one thing I did want to do is take a look at the player stats so far through these 30-something games of the season. So we really don't have a go-to option offensively, but we are led by Jordan Adams and Joffrey Laverne, averaging about 15 points a game. Then after that, we got guys like Shane Larkin, KJ McDaniels, Pierre Jackson, and Thomas Robinson averaging around the 10 points per game mark. In the last episode, we found out that one of our starters, PJ Tucker, suffered from a season-ending injury, and we really don't have many options at our wing position. KJ McDaniels, who was our 6th man, is now stepping up to be the starting small forward, but after that, we don't have any bench guards. We have Rashard Vaughn, who really hasn't cracked the rotation so far this year, and we have Spyro Marcos, who also has not cracked much of the rotation, but we have a surplus of big men, and I think our GM saw that and decided to shop a player of ours and see if we can get a wing to bring to this team. So right then, on the trading block, there were a couple solid different players. So one, there was Terrence Ross, who played for the Memphis Grizzlies right now, and then Wilson Chandler, who plays for the Toronto Raptors. And after calling both of the GMs from the Raptors and the Grizzlies, a trade was made. And the newest member of the St. Louis Spirits is Jordan McRae. Now let me explain to you why this trade is better than Terrence Ross and Wilson Chandler. Now Ross and Chandler were both on the trading block for a reason. Both players are under a terrible contract. Terrence Ross is making about $10 million a year for about 3 years, and Wilson Chandler is making about $15 million. And not only are these players under terrible contracts, but they're also having terrible years. Both Terrence Ross and Wilson Chandler's numbers are down from last season, so I'm so glad that we didn't try to trade from one of those players and try to take them and be like a #1 option, because if you think about it, Terrence Ross, I mean, when he's on, and same thing with Wilson Chandler. Jordan McRae, on the other hand, is under a great contract and actually is having a pretty great year. Now, right now, he's under a 3-year contract making $8 million, and it's not $8 million a year, that is $8 million over the span of 3 years, which is a complete steal for somebody that's 25 years old and really hasn't blossomed yet. He's also been lights out this season. Granted, his numbers don't look great if we're looking at points per game, but he only played about 17 minutes per game, but he shot over 60% from the field. And we're not talking a power forward or center where most of their points come at the basket. We're talking about a guy who really scores from jump shots and driving to the basket. So him shooting over 60% is just ridiculous. Now in this trade, we didn't send them Dwayne Dedmon. Like I said, we had a surplus of big men. Dwayne Dedmon just was the guy who was a little bit older than the other ones and was not having a great season. Luckily for us, the Washington Wizards were actually looking for another center, so we packaged Dwayne Dedmon and the future 2nd-round pick to get Jordan McRae. Now, this is a small trade, but I do think we won that trade in the long run. Dwayne Dedmon on a 1-year deal, not really sure if he's going to re-sign back or even if we wanted him to re-sign back. But now we have Jordan McRae, another perimeter guy that can score the ball, and I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to this team. Now we talked about pretty much everything. I want to take a look at what's going on around the league. A couple trades have went down. Like I told you, Terrence Ross was on the trading block from Memphis, and he was actually dealt. It wasn't to us, like I said, but he was now on the move to Cleveland for Jan Mahimi and Luis Scola. Now, this is a smaller trade, but there were a couple somewhat big trades that happened so far this season. Number one big trade is that the Spurs pick up Nicholas Batum. Now that is a huge trade considering that Nicholas Batum is now going to be coming off their bench. He's going to be their spark plug behind Kawhi Leonard, and I think that trade was just magnificent. Not the only trade they've done this season. The Spurs are trying to tool themselves for another championship run. And big trade number 2 is kind of on a bigger side than that. The Detroit Pistons trade Tobias Harris for Rudy Gobert. That's a big trade. I don't know what Stan Van Gundy is thinking when picking up Rudy Gobert when he also has Andre Drummond, but I'm sure he has some type of plan. We're just going to have to wait and see what they do. So now the Detroit Pistons have Reggie Jackson, Kobe Bryant. They're believing in Stanley Johnson to be their new starting small forward. And then they have Rudy Gobert and Andre Drummond, kind of a twin tower thing down there. Let's take a look at some injuries around the league. Emmanuel Mudiay, Kristaps Porzingis, and Kevin Love are just a few of the guys that are going to be missing a bunch of time this season. Kind of sucks because Emmanuel Mudiay and Porzingis, they were on the road to having solid sophomore seasons, but now they're going to be set back an entire year. Kevin Love is out for 2 to 4 months, which is okay considering he will be back in time for the playoffs. He's still in Cleveland. He still has Kyrie. He still has LeBron. So him being back before the playoffs is big for them in the East. Now, we talked about what's going on our team. We talked about what's going on around the league. Now, let's get into some questions from you guys. Now, this one comes from a season ticket holder. He says, being a season ticket holder and a passionate fan of the St. Louis Spirits, I notice a lot of stuff. One thing that bothers me the most by far is how William Goodrich coaches this team. He should be running the floor, as you stated, but he doesn't. He should be taking advantage of the young talent and the athleticism of this team, but he doesn't. My question to you is, do you think Willie G is the coach of the future? If you think he is, please tell me why. Now, thank you for the question. We really don't get to know your name. NBA Top 6 Countdowns. I respect your question, and let me explain to you why I think Goodrich is the coach of the future. Now, since the last episode where they went against the Golden State Warriors, and we almost won that game against an undefeated Golden State Warriors team, the offense for the 3rd time this season, and I think this may be the final time, the offense have been changed. Now we're looking at an offense similar to the Steve Nash Phoenix Suns offense back in the day, 7 seconds or less. So now we actually are running the floor. We're actually getting those fast break points that we should be getting with this athleticism and the youth on this roster. Now, this team has been running a lot lately, and you'll see that in the next game versus the Orlando Magic. But I still have a lot of faith in Coach Goodrich. Like, this guy is going to be a great coach in the league. Again, you got to consider he is a rookie coach in the NBA coming from Division II college. So the transition period may be long, but I still have a lot of faith in Willie G. So the next question basically is asking, would we trade our best player for someone else, even if that means that the fans would be upset with it? And yes, I think our GM would definitely do that. Like, as we saw earlier, we really don't have a player that we would consider our best player. So I think they'll be open to trading anybody if the trade's right. I mean, think about it. We are one of the lowest attendance teams in the NBA. And because of that, I think that our GM's actually looking to make some type of trades that can bring more people to the stands. So yes, I do think they would definitely trade players just like that. So thank you so much for listening to this episode of the St. Louis Spirit Show. It has been your host, Christopher Madison, and I'm out.